Hi fantasy managers, welcome to FPL Team Talk. In this video I'm going to go through my transfer plans and the players that are going to hit my watch list for Game Week 22. So if you enjoy this sort of content, give it a like, don't forget to subscribe, and in the meantime, let's take a look. So let's have a quick review of how I got on in Game Week 21. I have had a succession of green arrows since the World Cup resumption, which has been brilliant. I think I've been quite fortunate in some of the picks. I've managed to get away with Luke Shaw and Rashford I've had from the start. Trippier seems obvious. Akanji's played every game. Kepa's come good recently as well. KDB has been excellent. So is Kane. So a lot of players that people have been bringing in for hits I've already had. So that's definitely helped me. Good week. Kepa again waging in. Akanji finally getting that clean sheet. He's been playing every week for Man City. So I'm really pleased about my Manchester City choice of defenders with him. Not always been that lucky in the past. Whether he continues to play, we'll have to see. KDB looks good. Rashford, don't need to say much more about him. And Kane doing the business. Haaland obviously capped him. The only blot on this, I guess if there was one, was Cucurella got 6 points on the bench for me. However, I don't think it was a bad decision just going with one defensive player away at Liverpool. I did not want to double up, but that did mean I was playing Shaw and White against each other. And obviously that was a goal scoring draw. Didn't help, but do you know what? Overall, I got 81 points. I only made the one transfer, bringing White in for the long term. So it was a decent week, and I'm pretty happy. So the game week 22 is set up pretty nicely. Some good fixtures for me. I've got 2 double game week players so far with Shaw and Rashford. I think the captaincy armband at the moment has to go Rashford. Elmo's got a decent fixture. White away at Everton looks fine as well. Man City have a difficult game against Tottenham, and Kane vice versa at home to City, but we know what he can do. Kepa would definitely get the armband, get the goalkeeping slot ahead of Ward, I think, at home to Fulham, and Cucurella will play hopefully alongside him. If one of these doesn't play, Kanji obviously could be rotated. Cucurella could also sort of fall foul of that. Then Andreas would come in, and I'm struggling with Martial and Somerville. But I have 2 transfers to play with. I have 1.7 in the bank. So I'm looking at how can I strengthen this side, because inevitably someone is going to get rotated or dropped, or something's going to happen. I've kept myself flexible up until this point, which is good. But the obvious choice of players to come out, I think, has to be Martial. He's not been in the squad for the last couple of games, not even in the EFL squad. It goes out saying that we've got the FA Cup fixtures over a week, 10 days to get some news on him. If it looks like he's not going to be part of that squad, if Vikos looks like he's going to start, then I think Martial has just got to come out. There's no point keeping him, and I don't want to waste a slot with a double game week player, especially a crucial forward slot in Martial. He's done really well this season. It's been slightly irritating in the returns he's got over the last couple of games, but he did score since the World Cup. So his XGI and underlying stats just look great. It's just, as always with Martial, is he going to play? But I think he's the man at the moment that I've got plans for. Like I said, these could change definitely, but I do want a plan in place before going into the next 10 days. It can always change, but not having a plan in place, I would rather have something there that I'm eyeing up. And Martial going looks like the obvious choice. Looking forward then about who would replace him. The next few game weeks does offer the opportunity for some double game weeks. So Arsenal have one in Game Week 23, not a bad fixture in Game Week 22. And we've seen in any case, they're just such a good attacking side, even defensively strong, top of the league, deserve to be there. I think I've only got White in the side, and I do think I want to get on board with some more players, Arsenal, especially for Game Week 23. Manchester United have that double in Game Week 22. Fixtures after that look pretty decent as well. And the other side is Manchester City. Now, I already own 3 Man City players for that double in Game Week 23, so I don't think I want to change or monkey around with that. I've got Akanji, KDB and Haaland. I think they're about the best 3 I could hope for guaranteed minutes, although there's no such thing with Man City. It is a temptation or possibility to go to Mahrez from KDB. I just don't know how much more nailed he is, even though he's playing absolutely fantastically. We've seen in the past, Pep can obviously drop him. Foden could come in at some point. Grealish could switch means. Anything can happen. I'm just not sure. Do I want to miss KDB coming out for Mahrez when I feel is probably slightly more guaranteed the minutes than even Mahrez in the current form. So that's the way the land lies. And I do feel I've got the luxury of 2 transfers, and I can be a little bit more luxury in terms of just bringing the player in and taking them out, and that is what I'm thinking of doing. So for this next game week, I've got Shaw and Rashford, and the other thing I mentioned as well is Game Week 25. Potentially Manchester City will blank. It looks that way that they will, that they'll play Newcastle in the EFL Cup final, so both teams will blank. Currently, I've got 5 of those players. I think I just want to keep a couple of them and maybe add to that side. So going forward, I've got Luke Shaw, I've got Rashford as probably the best 2 assets, and I think they're the best 2, and I definitely want to keep them in that side. So they would stay, probably end up on a bench for game week 25. The other players that I would definitely like to bring in, I think Fernandes definitely for the double game week. He looks like the next best option, but I just can't get to him unless I downgrade a KDB or I take money out of Kane or someone like that. It's a lot of transfers to get to him, and I'm not sure I want to hold him beyond the double game week. So Fernandes, I think, is just out of my reach. Weghorst, though, is not. Now, if Martial's not playing, I am definitely tempted to jump onto Weghorst. If he's going to look like he's going to play both games, for 6 million, it would just be a 1 week punt. I think I would bring Weghorst in for the double game week 22 and then potentially move him out the following week and bring Nketiah in. Feels a bit of luxury, but I do think I've got that luxury with 2 transfers in the bank at the moment and not a lot of other options, a lot of other sort of surgery that needs going on with my side. The other thing that I would like to do is I definitely need to bring in some of my Arsenal players because they have a double game week in game week 23. Saka would be the preferred choice. I think he's number 1. Then Odegaard. And then possibly looking at the likes of Martinelli would be another option. And Nketiah. I can't bring in Nketiah. I could bring in Nketiah for game week 22 instead of Martial, but he's only got a single game week. And I think I would rather plumb for Weghorst outscoring Nketiah with 2 home games for Man United if he plays. So, how that my side would end up looking up, I think is Martial would come out in game week 22, Weghorst would then come into the side, and that would take a little bit of rejigging. So ultimately, Weghorst would go in up front, and Kane would go on the bench. At home to Man City, if you think there's maybe a better option, let me know in the comments below. Possibly Kanji away at Tottenham. It could well be that Cucurella doesn't play either at Fulham, at home to Fulham, in which case Kane would come in. But otherwise, I think Kane, possibly for Weghorst, just because he has 2 games, would be the option. What would happen is I've also got the option of taking out Almiron and bringing in Odegaard because I've got the 2 games. Because I think at home to Newcastle, so Newcastle at home to West Ham, Odegaard possibly outscores Almiron away to Everton. We'll have to wait and see again who's coming as manager. I'm a bit wary of that new manager bounce, but then Arsenal are just so good. And Odegaard's absolutely nailed. So I could do that transfer. I could hold it for the following week. If I do those 2 transfers, and then the following week, the plan would be to take out Weghorst, and then I would bring in Nketiah for the double game week. Now that leaves me at the end of game week 23 with just Trippier, Rashford, and Shaw as the 3 players that were missing 25, and I'm back on track. Somerville could possibly be back, otherwise I would have to look at bringing him out because he's injured, because my whole bench would not be playing and I would be purely relying on those 11 players making sure they get out on the pitch. But I would be able to get more information about Somerville if he's backing in that lead side. If not, I'd have transfers to monkey around with. But that is the plan at the moment. Certainly wouldn't be looking at captaining Rashford in game week 23. I think it would have to go on Haaland. But that's my plan. So the big question for me is, do I bring in Odegaard for game week 22 or do I hold on to him just to be a bit more flexible for game week 23? Do I think there's enough reward in having him away at Everton over Almiron at home to West Ham? That's it for this one though, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below what your transfer plans are for game week 22. Who are you bringing in? And do you think there's anyone that I have missed or overlooked that should be on my watch list or in my plans for game week 22? In the meantime, we'll be back at you nearer the deadline with some more transfer tips, team selection videos. So make sure you hit that like, give a subscribe, and I shall speak to you soon.